Hi, I'm Mia Arakaki, and this show is one of the ways I create spaces for rest, renewal, and healing so that people everywhere, especially women in business, ministers, and helpers, can live and serve out of abundance and overflow rather than from a place of lack and burnout. My prayer in these episodes is that you are able to have a felt experience of God and a felt experience of God's presence with and in you. I'm here to help you slow down, get present in your body, and engage with God. The practice of Lectio Divina is a vehicle for using scriptures to simply be with God. The goal is not to try to get something or figure something out, but just to allow yourself to be present in relationship with God. The process we'll go through in Lectio Divina is to read a passage slowly, numerous times through, and then to have a space of silence after each reading to reflect and to experience ourselves and God in the actual moment that we're in. Each time we read it through, I'll give prompts for questions or noticings. Today, I've chosen a passage of scripture from Romans 5, verse 2, and I'll be reading this passage from the Message translation. As we begin, I invite you to find a place that you feel comfortable and safe in, and a place that you can be relatively quiet and free from distraction. And now, if you can get into a comfortable position, preferably sitting with your feet on the ground, comfortable but not in a place that you're necessarily tempted to fall asleep. Although, if you do fall asleep, there's no judgment on that either. It means it's just a space for you to rest with God. And as we begin, I invite you, if you feel safe, to close your eyes and bring your awareness to your body. Just noticing in this present moment what your body is feeling, what's happening in your body. What's it like to be in your body at this particular moment? Just noticing, not judging, not fixing, not trying to figure anything out. Just notice. And now, as you begin to settle into your body, take a deep breath, breathing in through your nose, all the way into your lower back, and breathing back out through your nose. Taking slow, deep breaths. Let's take 2 or 3 of those. Breathing all the way into your body, deep into your lower back, slowly, and then exhaling slowly through your nose. And continue repeating those deep breaths to help your body slow down, to find a slower rhythm, and for you to just become aware of being present here and now in your body. As I read this passage of Scripture, I invite you to just be present. Be present to your own body, to Scripture, to God. Noticing what it feels like to be in this particular moment in time. Bringing your awareness to your embodied presence. If during this time, while I'm reading, or during the times of silence, your attention starts to wander, that's totally fine and expected. When that happens, just feel free to bring your awareness back to your breath, back to your body, being here in this present moment. As I read this passage the first time, I invite you to notice what words or phrases you're drawn to in this passage. We throw open our doors to God and discover at that same moment that He has already thrown open His door to us. We find ourselves standing where we always hoped we might stand, out in the wide open spaces of God's grace and glory, standing tall and shouting our praise. Now, sitting in some silence, notice what words or phrases you were drawn to. As I read the passage again, be aware of what you feel or notice in yourself or in your body. We throw open our doors to God and discover at that same moment that He has already thrown open His door to us we find ourselves standing where we always hoped we might stand. Out in the wide, open spaces of God's grace and glory. Standing tall and shouting our praise. Now in the silence, take some time to notice what you felt as I was reading or what you feel now. Noticing the feelings in your body or in your emotions. Now, as I read the passage again, I invite you to notice if there's any invitation to respond or to say anything to God. We throw open our doors to God and discover at that same moment that He has already thrown open His door to us. We find ourselves standing where we always hoped we might stand. Out in the wide open spaces of God's grace and glory. Standing tall and shouting our praise. And now, take some time in silence to notice any invitation to respond or to say anything to God. And feel free to offer that prayer up in silence. And now, as I read the passage one last time, I invite you to be open to receiving, to listening to, or noticing, or just simply being with God. We throw open our doors to God. And discover at that same moment that He has already thrown open His door to us. We find ourselves standing where we always hoped we might stand, out in the wide open spaces of God's grace and glory, standing tall and shouting our praise. And again, I invite you to take this time in silence, to be open to simply receiving from God, or noticing God, or just being with God. And now, as we come to a close of this space, I invite you to continue to just be present with yourself and God and your experience here today as I offer this prayer. God, we thank you for this time and for this space to be able to be together with you. May you help us now and in our day-to-day lives to see you, to hear you, to feel you, and to respond to you. I now invite you to take a couple of deep breaths all the way into your lower back. And as you do so, touch your fingers, wiggle your toes, shift around in your chair. And when you are ready and feel comfortable, to open your eyes and become aware of your surroundings. May the Lord be with you as you go through your day today. Thank you for being with me today. If this information and experience has been valuable to you, please consider sharing it with a friend or sharing it with your community, and also subscribe to the podcast to stay up to date with each new episode. Please also be sure to visit honeycombcoaching.com for virtual coaching and personalized retreats, as well as other offerings. And while you're there, sign up for our news and updates via email and receive a free digital resource. I look forward to the next time we get to experience God together. I'm Mia Arakaki, and until then, peace be with you.